and welcome back to the race rundown post an absolutely electrifying Dutch GP. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty of what happened this past weekend, I just want to apologise for being gone over the summer break. I know I said in the previous episode that I would have my fiance on here and that we'd do some talk throughs and everything. However, life got busy. Now, I know that is not an excuse. However, life did get busy. But we are back now. I hope you all had a lovely summer break. As painful as it was, I am very, very glad to be back. I needed a rest to come back and be better than ever for you guys. So, with the apologies out of the way, let's get into the pre-race drama this time. Now, before the race, we had some exciting things that were happening. And it started as early as FP3. Who knew that FP3 would be the downfall of Logan Sargeant at Williams? Now, turn 4, out of turn 3, into turn 4, hit the grass, spun, whacked the wall. Pretty hefty crash, right? Pretty hefty crash, a lot of money on the car to fix it. And thank God he was okay. Let's start there. Thank God Logan Sargeant was okay. Any crash is not great, especially in this sport. So to see him get out the car and be perfectly okay, that's exactly what we wanted. Who knew that would be the downfall of his F1 career? More to come on that. Then we had Oliver Oakes at Alpine for the first time after the summer break as being appointed the new team principal. A poison chalice, some may say, as the performance of Alpine has been anything but fantastic since the beginning of the year. And the most important, a little bit more issues for Williams. Albon disqualified for running an illegal flaw, being put right to the back of the grid, being bumped up by a couple of others with some grid pace penalties. However, running an illegal flaw. Williams are having nothing but issues at the moment, and this drama has continued. We will get into that post-race rundown. However, that was the beginning of what turned out to be an absolutely electrifying weekend in the Netherlands. Now, I was with my Formula One friends this past weekend. I didn't get any recordings because I was too busy gripping the edge of my chair at the thought that Lando Norris may have got his second win. If you've seen it, you know what happened. If you know, you know. What I will say is, now that we're getting into the race, either that McLaren or Lando are shit at race starts and they need to fix it, because my heart cannot take watching him getting overtaken again and again and again by Max. I was so happy that he was on pole, and then all of a sudden, lights go out. In the words of Crofty, lights out and away we go. And boom, Max straight past him. As always, shocked, not. And Lando is in second. He's potentially, at this point, the kerfuffle between Max and Lando have boxed Oscar in. Hamilton was having a bit of a sniff. Russell was having a bit of a sniff. The whole front 5 positions were having a sniff of getting round each other, and it was clear from the offset that first and second were going to be pretty regimented. So, at this point, the race is going. They're lap 2, Max is pulling away. Lap 3, he's pulling away even more. Oscar maintained. He maintained. It was good. Mercedes back in the midfield. Lewis Midfielderton was back in the midfield. Again, Team LH, do not kill me for that. Lewis Midfielderton back where he belongs, right in the middle of the pack. What's it like to be humbled, sir? Anyway, moving on. And I will say, right, that Midfielderton and Mr. George Russell were in fact in the midfield, but the fight in the midfield was epic. There was some great overtakes. There was 3 cars side by side at one point. It was very entertaining to watch. Although I will say that Sky F1 did focus, naturally, quite heavily on Max and Lando throughout this time. So I feel like we did miss quite a few interesting overtakes and pit stops. Now, the pit stops throughout the Dutch GP were very hit and miss. We had the front runners who were not performing at their best, but not the worst. 2.3, 2.4 seconds. You know, we've seen faster with a 1.8 from McLaren. However, it was average. And then you had some 3.4s in there, which wasn't too great. But the tyre deg on the Red Bulls was significant enough for Max to be on the radio complaining about his car and the speed and the tyres. It just wasn't working for him. Everything that had previously lit up before the summer break just was not working. I mean, McLaren, they've been upgrading slowly but surely. They've been tweaking. And maybe Red Bull got too cocky and didn't do any upgrades. The subtle changes that McLaren have been making before the summer break could have been the difference. And I personally think that Red Bull got complacent with their dominance and have been sleeping on the fact that Lando and the team at McLaren, they've got more to gain from this. They've got more to gain from this and potentially have more hunger for it than Red Bull do at this current stage. You know, they're two-time world champions already. This would be their third. I think they just thought that they were going to have the dominance this year and that would be that. I don't think they were expecting, especially McLaren. Like, don't get me wrong, I am a McLaren girly. I am here for Piastri and Norris. However, I was not expecting Lando to win 2 races this year. I just wasn't. I thought maybe Piastri would win a couple. You know, I just wasn't expecting Lando to be as dominant as he is. Am I happy about it? Of course I am. Of course I am. I was just not fully expecting him to be that dominant. So, on that note, Lando overtakes on lap 18 from Max. At this point, the car is slow. The Red Bull is slow, and it is slowing down slowly but surely. Max is on the radio complaining about his tyres, and there seems to be nothing that they can do about it. It seems to be that the Red Bull is just suffering this time round, and nobody can really give us a solution as to why. At this point, the gap between Lando and Max has increased substantially. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And by the end, Lando won with a lead of 22.896 seconds. I'm going to get real close to the mic for this. 22, nearly 23 seconds, people. Now, that's unheard of. Since Max has had such dominance, that 23-second gap is virtually unheard of, and I could not be any happier. I could not be any happier. I was over the moon to see somebody else win at the Dutch GP. Extra insult to injury that it was Max's home race. I felt a bit sorry for him, to be honest, but at the same time, the car was crap this weekend. It just was. It was crap. I'm sorry. It was. So, now that you've had the race rundown, let's go to the off-the-track news, which, in fairness, despite me being a Lando Norris girly, the off-track news is actually quite entertaining. Dare I say it, more entertaining than the actual race itself. The biggest thing that I want to talk about is Toto. Poor Toto. I think it was the pure shock of the Mercedes being back in the midfield. He just couldn't handle it. And as a result, he may or may not have accidentally, I think on purpose, leaked who replaces Hamilton next year. He did this on purpose. I'm going to be honest. I think he did this on purpose. He was in an interview with Sky F1 and he was just talking about 2026 lineups, blah, blah. No mention of 2025 whatsoever until Toto says, that's why I don't want to talk about the 2026 driver lineup, because I want to make it work with George and Kimi. Kimi Antonelli, everyone, probably butchering that last name pronunciation, when do I not, is replacing Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes next year. Woo! It is yet to be officially confirmed. However, it is said and widely reported that it will be announced at the GP in Monza this weekend. Are we excited to see the official announcement? Yes, I am. I am excited to see all these new faces joining the grid next year. And I cannot wait to see how that team dynamic performs. I think with the right driver under his wing, George could be an electrifying driver for next season. Now, moving on to a little bit more news. As we all know, at the beginning of the season, it was announced that Adrian Newey, in a shocking move that wasn't so shocking, is leaving Red Bull. That team is honestly imploding at this point. However, since said announcement, there has been no solid evidence as to where Mr. Newey is going. However, Mike Crack, from team principal of the Aston Martin racing team, has said that although there is nothing officially confirmed, they are pushing to hire Newey. Now, I said this a couple episodes ago. You can go back and you can quote me on it. Daddy Stroll's checkbook knows no bounds. He will give Newey copious amounts of money just to be like, look, here's a car, fix it, make my son look good, maybe help Alonso along the way, you know? Maybe. If Newey... Now, I'm going to throw this out to you here. If you've made it this far into the episode, well done for a start. And second, just hear me out here. Putting this question out to you. Do you think that we could see, with the help of Nui at Aston Martin, yet another world championship for Fernando Alonso? I would love to see that. Before he retires, I would love to see that. Or, again, throwing it out there, do we think that Daddy Stroll will never let that happen in a million years and will use all the money in the world, plus Adrian Newey, to make his son look good, who, might I add, does not belong in a Formula One car? You will never change my mind. Don't even try. Okay. So, again, nothing officially confirmed. However, if he did go to Aston, I'm not surprised. Daddy Stroll's checkbook knows no bounds, and that man will be minted forever. That new yacht that he bought, don't even worry about it. Daddy Stroll could buy him another one. Just saying. On that note of undecided futures within the sport, there is one driver who I love and who doesn't currently have a seat. And no, I'm not talking about Ricciardo. K-Mag has an undecided future within the sport at this current moment in time. As we all know, Hülkenberg and Behrman have signed for Haas in 2025, which leaves K-Mag with an undecided future. However, he has spoken to reporters recently and said that he is not stressed no matter what his future in Formula One is. K-Mag gives me Vettel vibes. I'm going to coin that. Vettel vibe. He seems very chill. I think, you know, with his little girl and his family, I think he's got a lot going on outside of the sport. And if he took a couple years break, I don't think it would kill him. I really don't. I think if he left the sport at this stage, he'd be back. He'd be back for sure. He wouldn't be gone for very long. So, hey, I mean, if Hülkenberg leaves Haas, maybe we could get K-Mag and Behrman. I think that would be a better combination anyway, in my opinion. Now, the biggest bit of off-track news that has transpired in the last 3 days since our electrifying race for the Dutch GP is the sunset on Logan Sargeant's career within Formula One. Now, before everybody starts, I'm not going to say because he's American and he deserves it. That is not fair. Okay, I know I've said previously that the Americans do not belong in F1. That does not mean that I am happy to see Sargeant go. Do I think he was the best driver? No. Do I think that kicking him out mid-season is harsh? Yes. Yes, I do. Red Bull pull that shit all the time. And I think it's really harsh and really unfair and really cutthroat. And I think, yes, the crash was bad. But he's probably already kicking himself, right, from that incident in FP3. And for them to just go, yeah, bye, buddy, we're replacing you. It's like, what? Where? Like, give the man a break. Do you know what I mean? Give the man a break. He's literally just smashed the car into the wall. He's probably got a little bit of whiplash. His head's probably still spinning. And then all of a sudden, big boy James comes along and goes, yeah, lad, we're replacing you, soz. Back you pop to America. Go have fun with some IndyCar. Like, what? Where is Goat Tiffy when you need him? King Latifi would never let this slide. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And I'm telling you now, if King Latifi was still there, that 70-point gap between Max and Lando would be significantly smaller. Just saying. Goat Tiffy would never. Anyway, had to mention Latifi there. Rest in peace, King Latifi. I miss you in the sport. Please come back. Please, please, please. So, Logan Sargeant has been replaced with Franco Colapinto. An Italian name. Love that name. I know I said it strangely, however I could be butchering it. Yes, I did go on Google Translate to see how to pronounce it. Franco Colapinto is replacing Logan Sargeant for the remainder of the 2024 season at Williams. But I'm excited to see a fresh new face. It's always great to see a fresh new face in the sport. Granted, it is only for 9 rounds. The remaining 9. Will Logan Sargeant be watching? In a way, I hope he's not. Because that is a bit of a kick to the face, to be honest. Imagine. Blow number 1, you're already being replaced by Carlos Sainz next year. Number 2, you crash your car in FP3, probably get a bit of whiplash, feeling a bit achy, you know, not great. Number 2. Number 3, you then get told that you're being replaced. Somebody needs to make sure that Logan Sargeant is okay. Like, has anybody checked on this man? Has anyone heard from him? Because that is rough. So there is having a bad week and then there's having a bad week. You know what I mean? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a bad week. The final thing I want to talk about, seeing as they won in the Dutch GP. Have I said that? Should we say that a couple more times? Lando Norris wins the Dutch Grand Prix. There's two issues with McLaren at the moment that I want to talk about. Number one is a video circulating online that I have been sent by multiple different people. And the second is the lack of team structure. So I want to start with the video that's circulating online first of a McLaren tyre popping off from the side of the car. Now, could this be edited? Yes. Could this be legit? Yes. Is there any formal investigation about this at this current moment in time? Not that I know of. What I'm going to do is, I'm not sure if YouTube's going to let me keep it, but if it does, head over to YouTube if you're listening to this on Spotify. I'm going to try and put the video that I've been sent in there. If it lets me keep it, great. If it doesn't, you're just going to have to bear with me here, okay? So the video, for all those that are listening audibly rather than watching, the video shows the rear right if you're sitting looking at your phone screen, but rear left if you're standing behind the car, McLaren tyre seemingly moving away, and it appears to be on a push system or a hydraulic system, or it's button activated. That's what I do know. Obviously, nobody knows the ins and outs of this. Nobody knows if it's even legit. But if it is, there's some grey lines. There are some grey lines that need to be addressed. Is this entirely legal? I do not know. Probably not, because it's probably giving them an unfair advantage in the pit stops. However, could this also be fake? Yes. I don't want to speculate, but the video is very, very telling. So, of course, as always, I will keep you updated on all of that. If anything should come of it, I'm not even sure that it's real. So, if anyone is listening and has any more insight on that, please feel free to hit me up. All the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Threads. Hi to all my friends, that's what I want to call you if you are listening and if you found me through Threads. Hi, lovely to meet you. My name is Bex. If you're new here, hi, my name is Bex. I am an F1 fangirl who is just doing her passion project and starting this tiny little podcast, trying to build a community of not only females but people that love Formula One and just want to hear it from the perspective of a fan who is passionate and has her own opinions. Everything within this podcast, love it or hate it, is my opinion and I will stand by it. However, I am not ashamed to sway my thoughts and feelings should I be provided with solid evidence. So if you have anything, for example, that could make me like Stroll, or if you have anything that can potentially lighten my anger towards Max at times, please let me know. I am willing to be swayed at any point. Just give me some compelling evidence. The final point that I'm going to talk about, minus that little tangent there, is that at this current moment in time there is no number one driver at McLaren. This could be an issue. There is also next year not going to be a number one driver at Ferrari, and that too could be an issue. However, they over at McLaren has said that he has kept a fair approach at this time to the number one driver slot, and that both drivers are level in the pecking order. However, with Lando's recent dominance and race wins, could we see that shift? He has said in interviews, when asked, that they will take a fair and just approach to deciding the number one driver. It will, of course, be swayed by performance, which at this stage leaves Lando Norris high on that table and clear above Piastri. Is it possible that Piastri could see this and retaliate and increase his performance? Of course. Of course there is. And the team are in good standing for a Constructors' Championship this year. Could they have a World Championship? I bloody hope so, but I'm really not sure. There is a 70-point gap currently between Max and Lando with 9 races to go. So, it is possible. It is possible. However, do not count the Red Bulls out. They are still dominant. Do not count them out. Okay, that's where I'm just going to leave that. I don't want to hype people up too much. We all know that I will absolutely jump on the Lando Norris to win bandwagon. Okay, so with that being said, we do not have long to wait until the next GP, as it is this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, in Italy. It is Monza, everyone. It is Monza. At the time of recording, practice starts in 2 days on the 30th of August, with practice 3 taking place on the 31st, as well as qualifying at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the race will take place on Sunday at approximately 2 o'clock UK time. I will be watching to see if Lando can replicate the fantabulous win from this weekend, and we shall see if he can close that gap even further. In the meantime, I've been your girl Bex. Thanks for listening to the Race Rundown. If you like the episode, follow along on either YouTube, Spotify, find me on TikTok, find me on socials, and I'll see you next time. Peace!